Megan, Amazon is a beast. We just saw that in the earnings report that they have. Obviously, things being shaken up at the top. But AWS has been a crucial part of this growth story for Amazon as well. I'm sure your guys' data will reflect some of this, but is it enough? This is always the question. Is it enough to support continued upside in this stock?
Yeah, so there's a lot going on whenever we listen for Amazon. Just some background on our research process. We have almost 100, we have almost 500 different brands underneath this Amazon umbrella, whether it's Twitch, whether it's, Whole Foods, whether it's one of their original content pieces. So there are a lot of different ways that a consumer could be talking about and engaging with Amazon and spending their money with Amazon. I don't think this is any surprise. They just posted a $100 billion quarter and the market expected this. This is the standard that they've set. And so across the board, obviously our data tilts more to these consumer facing brands. The top brands by far being Prime, being Twitch, being Amazon Music, Whole Foods, and now even AWS. And what you see is this green line, those are consumer purchase intent mentions. So those are, indications of consumers either signing up or spending money with Amazon. And those are pacing about 10% higher year over year. You see that huge surge from March through May whenever, consumers were onboarding and, if they weren't already on Prime, getting on Prime and starting to order things through Amazon. And, you can expect a lot of these mentions, even though they've, died down a little bit, to continue to be shopping through Amazon now that they've established this business there. So, from this perspective, from a consumer demand perspective, it is impressive that for this amount of volume, for this amount of consumers who are talking about, doing business in Amazon, that it's up about 10% year over year. So that's kind of where we sit. From a cloud perspective, you mentioned AWS, this didn't used to be a segment that we were able really to track because not as many people were talking about, web services and cloud computing. And now that sample size is pretty robust. And we see those mentions of people who are actually using or switching to AWS up about 10% year over year. So this is continuing to grow as this whole segment continues to grow, which makes a lot of sense. But one thing I will note is that growth rate is slowing down. I think you see that reflected in what they reported in that revenue segment growth, that it's, last year at this time, the growth was about up 25% year over year. Now we're about 10% year over year. So it's definitely getting more crowded, but it still is a growing segment and increasingly more important for Amazon.
Megan, when you look at the numbers that you're looking at, and I'm focusing on the growth, and what is the problem with the gaudy numbers they put up? And why some of them might have been discounted. They obviously, a lot of sales happened in the fourth quarter ahead of Christmas, right? And so many of what they look at, I guess what I'm trying to say is, were the expectations too high for Amazon? But the stock did run up into their earnings. Is it more of just this stock's not outperforming because the numbers were crazy good, but, things got moved back. I believe the Prime Day got moved into the fourth quarter, right? Didn't that take over and add to some of those sales?
Yeah, I think that it was a really strong holiday season for them overall. We saw e-commerce being increasingly important across the board, not just in Amazon, but also whenever we listen for competitors like Target and like Walmart. I almost think it's a position now where expectations are really, really high for Amazon, and people are watching to say, okay, are these other competitors, as you mentioned, Kevin, maybe not threats, but these competitors in Target and Walmart getting more capable, and are they taking a little bit of the piece of Amazon's pie? Whenever we look at Target mentions specifically, this is some research that we completed earlier this week, the omni-channel mentions, so mentions of people who were, buying online and maybe picking up in store or, having it delivered or some type of mix, those were up about 97% year over year. And so I think that that's something that, previously, Amazon had this bar that was set so high, this 2-day delivery, this free shipping. This was like a novel thing. And now expectations have increased, and consumers, they want things as convenient as possible. And so now you have these retailers like Target and Walmart who are in a position that they have these expansive locations, and they can kind of give this mix that now Amazon is kind of playing a little bit of catch up to meet that sort of delivery. So it is interesting moving forward. Those are, the kinds of things that we're watching. It will be interesting to see if Amazon can continue to innovate, if they can continue to do some of those things that Jenny touched on in her segment. And that's definitely something that we'll be listening for.